long is it going to take for us to actually be there? You sure you hit go live? No, it
Yeah,
says you're live.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're there. I mean, you know.
So we just, oh, there we go.
Yeah,
oh,
see?
Goodness, that took like, wait, did everyone hear his Dodger speech?
That's okay. But I did think that you would be interested, though. I thought it was pretty clever.
I was partially listening, and I do apologize, but I was really concerned about the lack of a video.
Oh, I mean, you don't.
And so I was.
That's not of your concern.
What's not of my concern?
It's not something that you need to be concerned about.
The video?
Yeah, you don't need to be concerned about the video.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to. I mean,
well, that's good because I'm going to leave you.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, it's been a good run. I'm auditioning new co-hosts for LangTime Studio.
I'm going to be back in roughly 2 minutes. I just need you to give me 2 minutes. Because as I mentioned, the downstairs clocks are different than Apple, and that's going to have to be fixed.
Absolutely hilarious that you think the door won't be locked when you get back.
I know what unlock is.
Ah, it's mine now. All right. The mice are only going to be speaking in ejectives now. We're going to be getting rid of all non-ejective consonants. And so it is just going to be things like e and e. And it's even going to have ejective nasals. Wonder if that basically just becomes a click. No. All right. Anyway, epiglottal trills. Okay. Oh, you want to hear an epiglottal trill? Okay, that's right. So this is a uvular trill, right? Right back there. That's a uvular trill. So it's got to be lower than that. You know, your glottis is right here, right? And you can't really trill that. Basically, a glottal trill is voicing. That's basically a glottal trill. So it's above that. It's in here. And so an epiglottal trill is something like this. Right? Except I think probably the only place you ever use the epiglottal trill is when you're doing that cheering. So this is going to be loud. I apologize. But it's like, woo! You hear it? In there. Woo! That is an epiglottal trill. Anyway, so yeah, we'll be adding that to the mouse language. We'll be retroactively adding it to the rabbit language and the possum language, and so it'll be the way that you say the name Jessie. What is this?
And I brought you something special, and this is what you do when I'm gone.
What is this?
Okay, they're very hot.
But like, how? How did you do that?
We have celebratory cupcakes.
How on earth did you do that? Like, I got into the shower well after 1 p.m. and
well after 1:15.
How did you do that?
Magic. Okay. Yes, I do think my co-host is malfunctioning. I heard the screeching.
It was an epiglottal trill. Do you like it? Do you want to try it?
No. Just absolutely no. They're really hot, so we're going to let them cool down because they literally just came out of the oven. Well, they came out of the oven 3 minutes ago. So I let them...
Can we at least hear? Let me do a close-up of this. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, goodness gracious.
And...
This is extraordinary. Put that right there so I can look at it.
And Ragdoll, they are vegan. So that makes it even better.
Like when you were talking about how you were going to make these, I was like, assuming it meant one day. You know?
And today is a day, isn't it?
Not just like when we were rushing to get to the stream.
I wasn't. I would like, again.
We can tell that you weren't.
I timed it. And I was like, I even gave 2 minutes for them resting before I took them out of the cupcake pans. I timed it out. It turns out the clocks downstairs are 4 minutes slow. And so as I'm looking at my phone and then looking at the clock, I'm like, this is not going to work. So that's why that happened. But also you forgot your glasses, so you're welcome. So I was not rushing.
It's nice. Now I can actually read the chat. In case you were wondering why I wasn't interacting with chat. I mean, I could read it, but I'd have to be like up here, and it's just,
So really the difference between a muffin and a cupcake is the texture, because muffins are breadier and you're going to get that sort of muffin top shape with it because they actually kind of rise over the tops of the liners. Exactly. Versus a cupcake is more cakey, and it domes on top, but it doesn't like come out like that. So yeah, that's really the difference.
The reason they're called cupcakes is that originally they were made out of cups, discarded cups.
You think you're clever, don't you?
It was like all people could afford during the Great Depression.
I have some poll responses.
But seriously though, isn't that pretty clever? So the Dodgers are starting a reliever that's right-handed just to force the Giants to he's like a mid-inning reliever. So now
Are all their other pitchers left-handed?
No, their starter is left-handed.
Ah.
So basically they're just daring them, say, all right, throw in your guys that are going to be against a lefty and we're going to throw our righty at you for as long as we can.
Long as we can keep them.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So we've got some poll results.
It's the proper pronunciation.
And this was negation. And negation, we had two major decisions to make. And by two, I mean we had two major options, one major decision to make. And that was whether it was going to be prefixed or suffixed. Now, with a suffix, that's different.
Yeah, this is just for this week.
With a suffix, it would technically be like a negative auxiliary. So that would essentially be that. But with prefixal negation, it would be an incorporated noun. And the example from like how French negation works with nouns being used within the negation strategy was detailed on the Patreon post. And oh my gosh, did you see Jasmine's comment? Porcelain cake, ceramic.
Ha ha ha. By the way, did Cupcake Parade just arrive? Did she miss the cupcakes?
Oh my gosh, perhaps.
This is here. We got it for you. You can come and pick it up whenever you want. And then eat it first.
And Grindel, the epiglottal trill was to mess with me because I left the room, and so one person, I think it was Freddie, was like, she's gone, let's add the epiglottal trill to the language.
You want to do an epiglottal trill for everybody so that they know what you're talking about?
No.
I bet we could make you do an epiglottal trill. We just take you to a One Republic concert.
Oh, sorry about that, Cupcake Parade.
Oh my goodness.
We'll fix that moving forward. Thank you for pointing that out. The muffin progression. You sure you don't want a new name, Cupcake Parade?
Ooh.
Muffin progression. Okay, so it's actually not blueberry. That was apparently not a good shot. It's a pumpkin chocolate chip, and it is a cupcake, but it's not topped. And so it's just cakey with no topping because it doesn't need anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but now we're ready to find out how we're doing negation.
What about a low rumbling epiglottal trill?
And now you know what he sounds like before noon.
No idea.
It's
all you.
Cool. Well, I guess I should wait until he's back to tell you how our negation is going to work. And Cupcake Parade. So delicious. And I do the same thing, Jonathan, and I'm glad that Juno agrees. I usually wipe off as much frosting as possible because it is not my favorite. And in case anyone just got here, David ran off because the doorbell rang. And Minnie's Pizza may be here, which I will gladly take it. Oh, Freddie, that's a much better idea. Yes, we will add all the central vowels and they're going to be stuck because we're done with sound changes. I like that way better than an epiglottal trill, where we now have central vowels. Okay, so.
I did just do, by the way, a central vowel digression. I want to share this with you or with everybody because it's kind of interesting. So Romanian, right, has the central vowel bardai, and it's spelled with an I with a circumflex accent or with an A with a circumflex accent. And when you go to Y, go to the Wikipedia page. I won't spoil it for you. It is a story.
So you mean Y as in W-H-Y? Not when you go to Y, the letter Y?
No, as in
Okay.
W-H-Y.
Okay.
It is fascinating.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Now we're ready
Yes.
for the actual poll results. All right, so this was a very, very close vote. And like prefix barely won, but it won
Okay.
by 2 votes. It was
Wow.
so close. Yeah, like all the way up to the end. They were neck and neck to the point where I was like, Dave and I were going to have to break a tie. And then it just didn't happen. It
Wow.
barely won.
That's fascinating.
So, yeah, so prefixal negation is what we have, which means we're going to do some noun incorporation
Yes.
to the verb.
I did want to address one thing. 2 things. So in the comments, there were 2 issues that were raised. One is that there were a number of people who said that they wanted to do both. In other words, they wanted to do it like French. In other words, that there would be a negative particle in there, but there also would be the prefixed negative element. We could do that. I consider that just still being in the spirit of the poll.
Because it's prefixed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like doubly prefixed at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one is there were people that expressed reservations about messing with the syntax of a sentence for negation. There is precedence for this. I offer Hawaiian, where it's negative. I don't know if you want to call it a verb or a particle, but aole, when it comes before it, it's just like changes the entire structure of the sentence for negation. But there is also precedent for not changing it. And of course, we don't have to go any further than French. So you could say, je ne mange, what's the thing that goes with mange? Je ne mange rien. I don't eat anything, or I don't eat a bite. I don't know if there was a word for a bite, but let's just say the regular noun, je ne mange pas, where the pas comes from step, as in, I don't know, je ne vais pas, I don't go a step. But with je ne mange pas, you can still not eat something. So, je ne mange pas le bien. I didn't eat the meat. Or actually, or is it du bien?
Really, the only one I know is je ne sais quoi, and that's because it's a phrase.
Oh, I don't know what. Yeah.
Like
je ne
this.
sais
So
quoi.
like you keep looking at me and I love it, but like I
Mange
can't
is
help.
bad. Mange is bad because of the partitive aspect of it. How do you say si? Je ne vois? Je ne veux? No, that's I don't want. No, because that's another one where you have to use
Do you want me
the
to look up
partitive.
examples?
Where something that takes an obvious, non-partitive direct object in French. Where's Donkey? Is he here? Hey.
Oh, hi, W.
Oh, we went to Cliff Notes.
Yes, common negative words and expressions. Ne jamais, ne ni ni. Okay. I don't know if any of those fit what you were looking for.
No, no, because
also-
I'm looking for verbs, not negatives. I'm looking for examples of verbs.
You know what? I'm doing the best I can.
How do you conjugate voir? V-O-I-R.
Conjugation. There we go.
It is voix. I knew it was voix. It's just with an S, right?
I said the same about Russian last night.
So, je ne vois pas la chaussette. I don't see the shoe. And it's not, I don't see any shoes. It's just, I don't see the shoe. And so if somebody is all like, you know, I don't know, vois-tu la chaussette? And, or I don't know, if you do the other one, you know, est-ce que vous voyez la chaussette? Or la chaussette, sorry, all right. And then you'd be like, you know, non, je ne vois pas la chaussette. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's not, I don't see any shoe, it's I don't see that one, the one that you're talking about. Anyway, the whole point is you can actually have a direct object with it.
Cool. Yeah, this is, I did 12 points to master French negative verbs. That does not help me.
No, but like, it's not about the negative. A chaussure is a shoe? Now get out of town. I don't believe that. Look up chaussette. Chaussette.
Sock.
God, it's a sock. Of course it is. How did I not know
this? It's a little shoe.
Yeah. How did I not know this? Since I wrote a children's book, the very first one for my little sister, it was called Socks, and I translated it into like 5 languages. One of them was French. And of course, you know, je me chaussette. That I wrote that. How could I forget what chaussette was? Oh,
I forgot that I'm supposed to be looking now. I'm used to, you know, using my computer camera, so I'm used to looking at my actual computer camera as we do live streams. I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Okay, so the point was we can have our prefixes and not change the syntax. It's up to us to decide if we want to do that or if we don't want to do that.
And as soon as we make this decision, we can celebrate with a cupcake.
Yes. All right.
Because I think, make sure yours wasn't too warm up there. Okay. Okay.
Yes. So we have to do a couple of things. So now that we're getting prefixal negation, it's going to be incorporated nouns. We need to do a couple of things. One, we need to decide, are we going to have an additional negative particle or not?
Okay.
2 is going to be to decide what incorporated nouns we're going to have.
Right.
3 is going to be to decide the forms of all of those, the negative particle if we have it, and the forms of the nouns that we incorporate. Mm-hmm. And then 4 is going to be figuring out the syntax. So it's going to be a while. This is going to be an entire episode of LangTime Studio.
Negation. 1, figure out if we have a negation particle. 2, figure out what nouns will be incorporated. 3,
figure out forms.
4,
figure out syntax.
So really, I took forms and put them together. Do you want them to actually be separate? Figure out noun forms, figure out particle forms.
I mean, realistically, they should be separated into 3A and 3B, but 3B may not exist depending on how we do item 1.
Also interesting is that my number 4 is on page 2, or on page 20. Your number 4 is clearly on page 19.
Real House of Leaves situation there.
Nice. Okay, so what in terms of
actually, carrot and ginger cupcake sounds really good. Kopiko flavored cupcake sounds really good. Kopi cake. Could you put a Kopiko in the middle of a cupcake and then bake it and see what happens?
I could, but it would be better if you crush it up. Hard candies are better if you crush them up and bake them.
Have you done?
Yeah, like I've crushed up peppermints and put them in cupcakes.
Whoa!
And they give you little, like when you're eating them.
I've done that with brownies, but with teas.
Interesting. Yes, Minnie, you're right. Welcome to LangTime Studio, episode 314. Whole episode of LangTime Studio.
You bet.
Okay.
You want that cupcake. Anyway.
Well, as soon as we decide if we're going to have a negative particle,
Yeah.
we can eat a cupcake.
Okay.
That's our first. And then the nouns that will be incorporated will decide if that's Kopika worthy, because that may take us a while.
Okay. Here's my thought. My thought against doing a negative particle is that things are going to get long enough. I mean, we're going to have to deal with this after we deal with negatives. And so you see what, potentially could happen, especially if we're going this route. So things could get really long, and you add a particle, it's another potential syllable. So that is my only argument against it. Argument in favor of it is it could be a single consonant, which could lead to tone changes, so that the difference between like a negative and a positive could just be tone.
If I were a speaker of this language, a learner rather, if I were a native speaker, I would have been just fine. But if I were to join the mice community and that were the difference, oh my word, I'd be saying all the wrong things.
But see, that could be part of the motivation for having these incorporated nouns. In other words, it started off as just a consonant that was a coda, right? Pretty soon the coda was lost and it was only reified as tone, and that was confusing since it probably doesn't always change the tone, only sometimes.
Which is why the noun got added.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like it.
I guess we should do it then, huh?
We're gonna do it.
All right.
Okay. Are you gonna type it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm gonna go to our emojis. We're gonna do it. Ding! Look, now mine's on the second page too.
Nice. I really don't understand though why mine was the whole time. Minnie's friends' experiences with putting entire hard candy into baked goods is not good. And Dark Horse says the second person could be negative first person singular. Wasn't me. Nice.
Oh,
And hi, Elk.
yeah.
I'm just gonna.
How you doing?
Oh my word. I remember I was gonna check, but I don't think we have any birthdays this week. Nope.
No.
We're good for another couple weeks.
So, nobody who watches LangTime Studio has parents who got busy 9 months before now.
Good grief.
9 months before now, not a popular time. Anyway.
No, Jonathan, no, I've got the same font he does for this document. Other documents I don't, and I mess those documents up all the time, but this one should be good.
Well, actually, another option, maybe they were going to give birth, but then they were asked to hold it.
Okay. Let's let you do conlanging because you're actually good at that. Okay, so we're going to have a negative particle that's going to show up as a consonant that gets wiped out and affects tone. This is why nouns were later incorporated, because tone was the only distinction between a negative and a positive. And so I like it.
It feels like we get high tones more often than we get low tones, so it should be a consonant that gives low tone.
Which is Y, W, R, and I believe the nasals. Oh, F and S. Don't the nasals as well? Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
So just make it N and slew it up?
I mean, it's never going to show up, right?
No, it will.
Oh, it will sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It will sometimes.
Okay. So we've got a decision made. Are you ready? They're
Yes.
still a little warm, but they shouldn't stick too much to the wrappers. That's the problem. If you don't let them cool, they may stick to the wrappers a bit. But cheers.
I cannot believe this. I've never had this before.
Oops. My wrapper is like, let me tear for you. Oh no, this is beautiful. It's coming out beautifully. Welcome to the hour of eating desserts on stream, where I may have just smudged chocolate all over my face and I don't even care.
Holy, Are you bleeping kidding me? I really want to be cussing right now. Whoa.
Much better reaction than the coffee and gin reactions.
Good Lord.
Delicious. Ooh, Scott, eat your brownies.
Oh my God.
Minnie is encouraging you to let things fly.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You see why I said I had to make them for you?
You can just make these whenever you want?
As long as you have the ingredients. Exactly, Miles. That's exactly how it is.
Good Lord, it's like there's a mother flippin' hot tub of flavor in my mouth.
Oh my God.
Did
Sorry,
you-
Jonathan.
Serious question, did you like make exactly 2 of these?
No.
Oh my God, yes.
What? Who would do such a thing? There are actually 19 of them to start with.
Holy.
I know. You may be asking yourself, why 19? One, a lot of cupcake recipes end up making 13 anyway.
Oh my God.
But 2, you need a cup of pumpkin for this recipe, and most canned pumpkin comes in 1 3/4 cups. And so, are you trying to steal? Okay. You did give me your shrimp roll last night. Here you go.
I did. No, you finish it. I'm going to throw these away downstairs. And I'm not going to do anything else while I'm downstairs.
But anyway, that's the reason they make more than 12, is because it's like you get... As he's yelling off screen. Okay, so like, is there a feeling... Oh yeah, Jonathan, that 7 doesn't crack me up. Is there a preference for what consonant we're going to end up using? Mind you, Y is already used for possession, so we may want to stay away from that. Exactly, Ragdoll. 13 is. Oh yes, Cupcake Parade pointed that out too. He's just very enthusiastic, Jake. Good question, Logan. Is it even worth it? Any preferences or leaning towards W, R, M, N, Angma, F, S. Those are our options. Oh, Scott is feeling F. So is Cupcake Parade.
F didn't win for a pronoun, right?
It did not. Because we have a theta and a W.
I don't like that. I like that.
Okay, so we're feeling a lot of Fs.
Yeah.
Maybe because you went for a very long time earlier. Minnie is feeling an R. Miles says F for maximal distinction, W and R for minimal, S is in the middle. I vote S. Oh. Interesting. So, Kia, one thing I do is when I get tired of making cookies, after I've made some already, the rest go into one giant pan cookie. And it's like, here you go. It's a cookie cake now. Oh my gosh, Jake. I really want some of that. Okay.
I wish you could post images in chat. I mean, it's probably a good thing for YouTube that you can't, but, you know, I trust our people.
Why are we going to post images?
I want to see this brownie, but...
Oh, the brownie, yes.
Oh my God.
All right, so it seems like F is really feeling... Oh, and Juno is feeling the heck 2 C's out of F. Let's do it. Let's make F negation. I'm going to type that while you're eating.
Oh my god.
F as coda consonant. Okay.
Now we just need to figure out what to do with verbs that end in a consonant.
Right. By the way, I assume that with you putting the cupcake in that position, it was really intended for your third cupcake instead of a second for me.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because I noticed that you didn't hand it to me. Yeah. But that's actually all right. One is enough for me for a sitting.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I was willing to share the last bite of my cupcake with you. I just want to point that out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, V is apparently one of my favorite, and F obviously is too, because a lot of my favorite words have an F or V sound featured, and I find that very interesting. I also really like K's.
I'm surprised though if you have the positive anymore that you don't have positive either.
Okay, we can have that argument later. Let's just say some dialects can say things like "any more gas is too expensive."
Yeah, I could also say that blue gas is too expensive, and that would essentially be how I'd understand any more gas is too expensive. In other words, it's a brand.
Anyway, Jonathan suggests I should feed you sugar by the spoonful.
Oh my god.
Ooh, we should have lined them up. We could have had a cupcake parade.
Oh.
We need to make these into a cupcake parade later.
We can still do that.
We have extra downstairs.
We can take a picture. We'll put it on Discord.
Wait, I say we have extra downstairs, but you were downstairs for at least a minute and a half. Yeah, that concerns me.
Oh my god. All right, that too was what I needed to just help me focus. Okay. Okay. Do we have? Because what I was looking for when we were doing the poll, what I was looking for was a place where we had started verbs.
Oh, we have a list of verbs specifically in the overall verb schema in the verb section on page 19.
Okay, good.
And this is going to end up being in court. That's also going to be a syntactic difference, right? Because didn't we say if it has an incorporated noun, it's going to affect the rest of the sentence structure? Because it won't be able to carry agreement on it?
That's number 4.
That's number 4. Never mind.
But
let's not talk about that now then, because we are talking about numbers 2 through 3, rather.
Okay, so we are. You were correct. The F is indeed never going to show. Well, maybe. It depends. If there are suffixes after it that start with a vowel, then it will. So the F might show up, but in most cases it won't. And instead, it will be the disappearing consonant that shows up.
No. Do we? Yes. It can show up only if we have that reduplication at the end, because this is going to have to be at the end of the verb, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so reduplication, if the verb starts with a vowel, could end up having a vowel after it, but that's literally the only place it would show up. Because otherwise it'd all be...
Wait, the reduplication isn't going to show up after the negative, is it?
I don't know, is it?
Huh.
Well, then it's never going to show up.
It might if they're... Because this is the beginning of our journey.
Oh, dear.
Like,
oh, dear.
I mean, have you seen this dictionary?
Yeah, good numbers to pick. 49 is my favorite.
Bring me back. Okay. So, looking at my Marmute Ukalumiha dictionary. Oh, Mumich Chirotingit. Alright, so I want you to look at this dictionary. Okay, so right. So this is just like, nouns and stuff, right?
Right. No,
Okay,
that's... Listen, it's absolutely fine. I didn't know you were considering more suffixes. Yes, okay. Yes. He's flipping through many pages that are all about suffixes of this dictionary.
Because this is how many they have. Page 76
You know what?
through
Go back to eating your
198.
cupcakes.
To do well, properly, neatly,
Okay,
easy
so
to
the
X.
F may show up. That's all we needed to say.
to be the
You can-
Xist. Ooh, negation. Look. Neat. We are the knights who say neat. Jesse doesn't get that.
I mean, I get roughly. It's just okay. Oh, Davida is saying that it is unfindable.
Oh my god. I think that's a borrowing. Look.
Okay. Oh, from o'clock. Do you want to tell them why you think it's a borrowing instead of just pointing out on a page to me?
Right. Okay. So there's a suffix in Marmute that's o'clock, and it means a clock.
Yeah, it's that's brilliant. I love it.
So to say it is 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Minnie nailing our the way we communicate with each other. Yeah, I feel like, didn't you say you had to get these from like special places or something, and like it was very difficult?
Yeah, and so I've gotten 3 of the 6. Siglet is my favorite, and I have the grammar, which I'm really grateful of, but I don't have the dictionary. So there were 2 of these at the UCSD library, and you will recall as a graduate student, you can check out books for a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I checked these books out, and you can keep them a year, but then if somebody wants them and recalls them, then you have to bring them back. But who's going to take these? So essentially, I just owned these books for the 3 years while I was in graduate school. Then when I left graduate school, I just took them with me. And I just had a friend of mine who was in graduate school just check them out for me. Because of course if they were recalled, I'd have to bring them back, but nobody was recalling them. And so I think I kept them, I had them from like 2003 until 2011. When he had decided that he was going to be leaving graduate school and moving back to Michigan. And so he needed to return those books. And sadly, I gave them up. But I knew that I was already I was working on Defiance at the time when he came to visit to ask for the books back. So I had them for many years.
Wow. I thought you were about to say these were it and you stole them from the library.
No.
And then I was going to be like, where's Megan?
No, these were all purchased. Actually, the ones in the library were hardback.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. So, where do we have our reduplicated examples?
We don't. We just said that we
We
were.
did do reduplication in this language, right?
We're going to, but we haven't done it.
We didn't we? Shoot.
Are we
Pardon
gonna-
us a moment. Was this
Just second.
Was
like
this
baseball, you got it.
Was this the language where we were going to do reduplication with a prefix and it was going to be simple? I guess I recall us having that discussion.
We were going to have reduplication as a suffix that was going to be simple.
It's a suffix, huh?
Yes. Hence the order of the basic verb schema up above. Reduplication was going to be at the end, and it was going to be simple.
Oh, here. There.
Okay. And yes, we said simple because we remembered ngala.
Yeah.
And the hijinkery of trying to figure out verb forms. And if you don't remember that, go back to the 8 episodes where we try to figure out reduplication that we created, and then later could never remember how to actually do it. So we have a set of rules in the grammar to follow, but they aren't always followed.
It's basically every episode after we came up with it.
It was, how do we do that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one was going to be simple. It was going to be CV or VC, just depending on the what's it of it. Could have sworn that we
No, we talked about it, and I think you had said something like, you know, if it had 2 syllables, you'd just reduplicate the second or something like it. But no, we haven't done anything yet other than talk about what we want to do. And then we put our list of current verbs here, so that way, and we made a verb for to give, so we would at least have one that would classically assign an indirect object, so that when we did do examples, we had verbs.
I thought that we did have an example because it was like we had, matete, but it was going to change tone, wasn't it?
It was going to change tone, yeah.
Which would make it even more interesting with negation.
Which is why you have to have that incorporated now.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But no, we did not. And, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I like it, cupcake parade. But feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here. But no, we just talked about it. And then we were like, yeah, we'll do that next time. They're also working on finding a good source for mini shenya unprefix. And so that's going on too. Exactly. So we were talking about just reduplicating if it's multisyllabic, the last syllable, and I'm pretty sure he was right that we had then said it would dissimilate tone, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Okay. Did you say what the reduplication was going to do?
no.
Jeez.
So like we don't
Was
know
it
what.
Was it pluractionality?
I do believe we had said that because I
That was
remember
it.
I
That
remember
was it.
saying that word many times last week because I kept trying to
Right.
pluractionality or plural. That's
Yeah.
why you had the examples, because you said it's
Yeah.
either going to indicate a plural subject object anything
Yeah.
or because you had likened it to Georgian.
Yes.
So how about we write that?
Yeah, but I thought we did, and that's
No,
why I was
we
looking
just-
for it.
Talked.
Okay, so then we'll just make a note here, and we'll.
Oh,
Pretty
Bib
up
says
there.
it's also the distributive plural prefix in Navajo is like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that was. There's the Durkheil Zinga has a good example of that in Shoshone. Is that the language that he studies? Oh, he's gonna kill me.
I don't know. Yeah,
But not for
Scott,
that reason.
I really did say pluralactionality quite a bit.
Reduplication is used in coordination with a plural subject, direct object, or indirect object, and also for pluractionality.
That's classic. Silvertail's like, whatever it was, I distinctly remember y'all saying you'd remember it. Yep. And that is how it goes for us. We are good on that.
Yeah. Okay. So I wrote that.
Excellent.
So
Do you want to also write that it's going to be a simple final syllable reduplication with dissimilating tone?
okay. Reduplication will be suffixal. Either CV or BC. Depending on if the proto root ends in a consonant or a vowel. And the tone will assimilate. Okay, so let's. This is great, but let's do a table.
Scott says in Acadian, pluralactionality takes I chop wood to I chopped a lot of wood or wood from many trees. Nice. Oh my gosh, apostifying. Nice. Cool, yeah, go for it. Make a table.
Okay. And then we're gonna do that, and then reduplicated.
Miles, the Potawatomi examples was about something else.
Yeah, it's about something else. We'll get there. It's gonna be after the negation.
Yes, I remember that. So the examples, by the way, are options for the mouse language. He was just he just like literally wrote Potawatomi because he wanted to remember that was what inspired him to come up with those particular possibilities. And it did take me a minute, by the way, to remember which syllables receive the stress in that language name.
Potawatomi?
Yeah, and so, because every once in a while it's like, wait, whenever I look at words that are big, and it makes me try to remember where to put the stress, which changes everything, really.
Yeah, it does. Just see. Let's see.
I see what you did there.
See, Potawatomi is fine. Potawatomi doesn't really change anything, but Potawatomi, now that changes things.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be an ab, but it would be...
Potawatomi.
Yeah, exactly. It would, like... It would also change things if you stress the t instead of the wa.
There's also Potawatomi.
Exactly.
Oh, and then we can make it Spanish. Potawatomi.
Potawatomi. I love it.
All right. So let's do these, the regular ones. Ni, ti,
Mate.
Ku is low.
We're knocking on rust again.
Is that a bad thing?
It only is if you're trying to spin in your chair and the person next to you is blocking your spin.
I don't want you spinning in your chair.
Obviously.
It sends the wrong message.
Sends a message we have fun. Oh, Cupcake Parade asks, could the mouse word for possum be rat negation, like they think of possums as not rats? Interesting idea.
We can actually come up with a whole series of those. I'm thinking of German names for animals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that table, the one that was floating around
yeah.
Twitter, I think. Thank you, Russo. You get the spin blockers are the worst.
Yeah, so absolutely you can see just looking at this that once the F disappears, you totally need something else. Absolutely. So that's good. All right, now let's do duplicated. So this
will just be... This is no longer not complicated. Okay.
It's
Go for it.
It's not complicated. I will just say that.
And then fee high tone, yeah. This one will be easy.
Yeah. What happens to W when it's an onset? Does it become a V?
W followed by what vowel?
O.
Wait, we don't do anything. Just a second, Become V in front of O.
Because it is a real proto consonant. It is. Okay.
Yes, but it still sometimes shows up.
So it's a V?
Only if it shows up in front of a U or an O.
Which is what it will do. So go.
Low high tone.
Boop. Go boop.
Why would it be a U?
Because it's whoa.
And so wouldn't it just be Kovo?
No, with the W. Kovo what?
Why would it take that?
Because it's a VC form. If it ends in a consonant, the reduplicated form is VC. If it ends in a vowel, it's CV.
And so the only reason we don't have... If we do that, though, we're going to have to revisit the dissimilating tone situation.
All right, hang on to that.
Because we're about to have an argument. Narmo, that is a really good question and one we're about to address.
And actually, the what's that?
But if OW copies over, then EU would be one constituent. Okay.
All right. This
Okay.
is going by one metric. Now
It's a
let's
bad
just-
one.
It's a bad one. All right.
Because
You're going to need to cupcake through this.
here's the thing.
Yes.
The protoform ends in a consonant for neek.
Yeah.
Yes. Which means we need to copy vowel consonant, yeah?
Yeah.
So neek eek.
Yeah.
Yes. And the K leaves a high tone.
Yes.
And so it should actually be two high tones, and we should not have dissimilating tones because now tone needs to go back to the fact that it's neek, 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 eek. So it's going to be neeky.
The tone dissimilation isn't happening by phonology, it's happening by analogy.
Okay. So why is, as Narmo asks, why is fi with a low tone on the first syllable when that F would actually no longer be a coda in C fif, in which case C is its own syllable, so it should be a high tone.
You're right. In which case the second one should be a low tone. Good point. Okay.
This
Next
is
question.
no longer, we wanted simple reduplication.
Mm-hmm.
We should not do protoforms for simple reduplication. We should say that reduplication was introduced
After tones.
after tones. And so codas were already lost at that point.
Mm.
Otherwise, this is going to be a nightmare.
Doubly so when you realize if it's only going to be reduplicated after codas were lost and tones were introduced, from a negative reduplicated form, it has to be the reduplication of the negative.
Exactly. So, no.
No, I mean, that's what you want. That's what's going to happen.
No.
Yeah. It's going to have to. Either we have crazy complicated reduplication, or we're reduplicating these two.
But can't we reduplicate? Negated?
All right. Let's go down this path.
Rosso, I will find out for you as he is. I am. Yes, if you Google German animal flowchart, there are images that pop up right away of the flowchart in question. Specifically, the title is How to Name Animals in German. That is the full title, so you can Google that too.
All right. I'm going to get this one correct. Then we're going to duplicate the table. Okay. Oh, and then for this version, oh, maybe I'll be the same. How do we end up with only low tones here? Interesting.
Because you removed all of the coda consonants from the first syllable, thereby making everything high tone, which means all reduplications are going to be low tone.
It's kind of cool though, because then it becomes the negative actually becomes high-low. Oh no, wait, no, it doesn't. All right, whatever. Okay, so But this is done, so we're going to copy this table. We're going to call this option 1, reduplication, tone, reduplication, then coda loss. Option 2, coda loss, then reduplication.
Do you want to specify, because technically,
Yes. Before I get into it. Brought to you by water.
okay.
Ready for cupcake number 4.
He did eat the extra cupcake he brought upstairs. Okay, let's think this through. Specifically, I want to focus on, I'm going to type this here just so that way, okay. I want to focus on this one in particular. There, it showed up much later.
Yeah.
Because we've got CVV, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That means that diphthongs have to be simplified before we reduplicate.
What does?
Because if we're left, okay, so what you're saying is that reduplication for this,
For which one?
for the one I'm looking at,
For this one?
do you see I'm typing in
Yeah.
between the tables?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Uh-huh.
So this would be the reduplication of that. We would ignore the fact that oo is the more recent vowel, but
Yeah.
we would pull the consonant from up front.
Yes.
And that makes sense in your head.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though what makes sense in my head would be an inserted consonant, which is our L. Because otherwise, why wouldn't we pull from the start of any word? Like, why is it matete and not like matema or something?
Because it's a diphthong.
Okay, so we need to, okay. I'm struggling with not having a problem with that.
Like, I don't even get it. Like, I don't even get why you're doing that, though. It's just, it's this is monosyllabic. You.
Okay, so then why isn't it this?
It is.
If
No. It's you, yeah.
why?
Because the form of the reduplicated syllable is CV. Not CVV, it's just CV.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, there's no room. There's no room for the extra ooh. It tries to fit in, but it can't. It's a 2-person elevator.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, we should have a whistle register while we're at it.
That'd be easy to add after.
I just don't like it. I just need you to know that.
There is precedent for this.
It's fine, but
Mountains
we do
of
need
it.
to specify then. So reduplication happens before
But, like-
coda loss, but it happens after diphthong simplification. So it would be in between rules
Which
5
one?
and 6.
Option 1 or option 2?
Option 1.
It's not after diphthong simplification, it's before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I want to point out that you didn't object to this one, but you objected to that one. This one you didn't have any problem with.
That's because if you solve one problem, then you solve the other. So why
Right.
muddy the waters and talk about multiple of them when I could just focus on one example?
I just thought this syllable was easier to understand. So, geez, so. You just couldn't have the diphthong in the reduplicated syllable. It's just a little thing.
But why not? Why not have an option 3 where the reduplication happens after the diphthong gets simplified?
Well, we're gonna. I mean, this is what's happening here. It's gonna have to.
No, coda loss in this one happens before reduplication, which means reduplication comes after.
Yeah, so the diphthong would be simplified.
There's a difference. There's also a middle step where diphthongs are simplified, and then you have reduplication, then you have coda loss.
Really?
Yes, because then it would be.
Wait, why am I looking at your screen? You're not looking at the sound changes.
Because then you wouldn't get a difference in the J at the end. You would get a jus, like you originally typed.
Let's see here. I don't know. It's stage n plus 2. No, I don't. I think there's only 2. Because it's stage n plus 2. It's pretty late.
But when does n plus 2 happen? It all happens before the coda loss. It all has to happen before the coda loss. Otherwise, we still have diphthongs.
No, it doesn't. Look. Because n plus 2, right? We have, no diphthongs anymore. And in this column, we have no codas anymore. But look, we had no codas here. So like the codas were already being lost here. I guess they weren't lost here. There was another middle stage. But yeah, there's no codas. It's like at almost exactly the same time.
Anyway.
All right. But look, this is going to be the one that you like anyway. So, and it's probably going to be the one that we're doing. So, all right. So these are still correct. The negated forms are still correct. The reduplicated forms are changing. Nini. Titi. Oh no.
Oh, brightness.
Oh, brother. You never know. These things don't line up. So, this? Nope. Oh boy.
Did you mute? You didn't mute the microphones, did you?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I always press it by accident.
Minnie, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and Scott, that was why I pulled it out, because it seemed weird that the
I just took a screenshot.
It feels weird to me that the KOW situation is treated differently than the JEU situations, but and yeah.
This is a consonant. This is a consonant.
If one of the goals is for this part of the grammar to be simpler, then
how could there be anything simpler than the difference between a consonant and a vowel? That's a consonant. Oh versus yo. Like, that's a consonant. That's a vowel. They're as different as night and day.
Okay.
Oh my god.
It just doesn't feel different, David. Cuckoo. So here's the thing about the reduplication. Infrequent verbs, regardless, if we go for the more complicated strategy, infrequent verbs, their protoforms will be totally lost to history at some point because they just don't show up enough. So at some point, the reduplicated form will be regularized if they're not frequent enough.
Yeah.
So it's like I get if like verbs that you use on the daily.
Yeah, so there would be a small class of irregulars.
Could have
Is that
irregular.
something you want to avoid?
I'm saying like I understand having the differences in reduplication for the frequent verbs, but like there's no way that all those different forms are going to be remembered through history.
There aren't going to be a lot of verbs. I mean, I'm serious. There aren't going to be a lot of verbs. Most of the distinctions are going to be made with affixes. So this is what you have. Option 2.
Because you're saying the no. Why is the negative meanie high tone on the second syllable?
This is after coda loss, so the reduplication has to apply after the negation. And so it's this column that's getting reduplicated.
There we go. And so then it would be low, high. Okay, because it would be high simply because it's dissimilating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the interesting thing about option 2 is that most of these forms sound the same, and it's very confusing. Some of them, the forms are identical. For example, if it's a low tone, so ku is regular, ku is negated, ku is reduplicated regular or positive, and then ku is the negative reduplicated form.
Right, Jonathan? You know, Chris, sometimes you choose what mountain to put your stake in. Yes, we do tend to be much more amicable on the big decisions.
Yeah.
We really need to record ourselves more often when we work on conlings. Because the number of things that it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Versus the things where it's just like a 45-minute discussion and it's over like one vowel. Okay, and I also, somebody... I think it was Minnie had asked, would it still be, like, it's weird to look at something like kovu and call it reduplication, because it's like that's just straight up memorization of a new form altogether. That's not really any reduplication.
Hold on a sec. Shoot, there may be a problem here. There may be an error here that's going to cause us to redo both tables. That might make option 2 a bit more palatable, I think. We totally ignored the epithetic vowel. We just sidestepped that issue.
What epithetic vowel?
Presumably, if this is the protoform for positive neek, then the negative form would be that, which presumably we wouldn't allow. And so this would either become neek keef if it's just a copy vowel, or it would become the same vowel. If we have one vowel that we do for all hiatus resolution. We have proto-R for our epithetic consonant, but we never decided on an epithetic vowel.
Right. Side note, Jonathan, reduplication is going to either make one of the arguments plural, so subject, object, direct object, or indirect object, or is going to indicate pluractionality
Yeah.
of the verb. I can say it, it's good.
Yeah, Chris also makes an interesting suggestion. Yeah, third option is just to delete the coda consonant, which would essentially give us what we have here. I don't think that's likely though.
This is a problem for both though, right? Because we would have to decide, because on option 1,
Yeah.
there's the assumption that codas have been lost already,
Yeah.
but they aren't lost for reduplication. So reduplication would have to come before negation. And the codas would have to be lost before negation happens.
Yeah.
So this is a problem for both. Okay.
Miles, I didn't want to do that. And this is why. Then the F would show up. Oh, I know. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're adding metathesis. That's interesting. Miles is suggesting NIKF becomes NIFK. But would that happen across the board? Would it happen with like NIL, NIRF? You know?
It would still have to have a vowel though,
Yeah.
because they can't have consonant clusters.
It would be useful to us later on, probably, to have a standard epithetic vowel. We'll certainly end up using it in other places.
Well,
but
I mean,
copy vowel also makes sense.
copy vowel does make sense, but they're mice. Isn't E the standard epithetic vowel that comes to mind?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Hey, look! Do you see how nicely we decided something?
Okay, this resolution. So let's just add it to this. And
Grendel wants the central as the epithetic.
vowels or consonants. Okay. So then, to that end, back to our...
And Chris, you are correct. We did do echo vowels, or the vowel carryover. I'm losing my words today. But we did do that with like meek as is actually a protoform in Ingala too, but the final form of that is niki, because it required the I.
Good.
Just a second, sorry. Go on.
What does proto W become when it doesn't come before a U or?
It stays W.
I thought that
It's only before a U or an O, and then I becomes je in front of an I or an E.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh my god, this makes it so much more palatable to me for what's going to happen in the rest of this. Is way better.
That's
Because
that's
if
not
these
correct.
little sneaky consonants show up in the negated form, then I can see why they would be preserved in a reduplicated form if that is how that's going to work.
Now these two are identical.
Isn't that great? This is noun incorporation. It's necessary.
Okay. Oh my God. Wait, no. This is wrong. Sorry. There you go. Okay. But these are only identical because they have the same vowel. Otherwise, we have koi and kovu.
Right.
Yeah. Alright, and then the negative reduplicated form are these with F added.
And so
these with F added, right?
Right, so they're all just gonna come out low tone, which they already all are. But this is more palatable to me.
This makes sense. Because, okay, the reduplicated form is, it was VC after it, but then we had the tone switch.
With reduplication.
So wouldn't this actually be that?
I thought we were supposed to be adding F to the positive reduplication.
For this one, the reduplication happens before the coda loss. I think these are all going to take an extra syllable. Let's look at this one. And then we right.
So we're reduplicating 3 times over?
Kind of crazily, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to walk me through this because I'm not understanding what's happening.
And then this one ends in ends in a vowel. It might help to do this. Let's do these in green means ends in a consonant. I'm going to do this over here too.
And some people in chat are struggling with calling this reduplication if option 1 wins.
I mean, but that's what it is, right? But to do like, okay, we're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna do one of these out. So, unique forms. This is negated. Neek.
If.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then geek.
Oh, I see what's going on. The fact that they were all I in the proto form as well is what threw me off, because I would have seen that it made it look like you were reduplicating the key. Like ni key F instead of what was going on. That totally helps me understand what's happening.
And then this should actually be that. Yeah.
Because it would maintain the O status because the W is no longer being smushed together with it.
Yeah. We could
But wait,
But
this
then,
is before coda loss, so it's going to be high. It's going to be a high tone on that O.
right, because it's just the reduplication that
That disambiguates.
that disambiguates. Oh, but that is the reduplication. That is the reduplication. That's why it disambiguates. This is the negative.
Okay, but if we're going to do that, then I would argue it needs to be kovu.
What do you mean?
Can you write that one out for me?
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Here, let's do it right below. So do the whole thing. And this is still KOWIF. KOWOW. KOWOWIF.
Right, so at some point though, that string is going to exist. And so even though morphemically you can put the hyphens there, phonologically it would be ko-wo-weef,
Yes.
which means the woe is going to be high tone.
No.
Whenever we lose when we lose our codas, which is a later stage, we lose the codas and tone is applied, woe does not have a coda.
Correct. But we're still dissimilating, and so that's the reduplicated part. That's why it has low tone. Yeah. It's
I don't like having though kovu versus kuvo or kovo and then saying but they knew that at some point it was an O, but they also knew not to let it be high tone because it was reduplicated, except not fully reduplicated because it's not the same vowel.
I mean, presumably the form would have been this at one point. You know,
Right.
ovoweef. And then it just became, you know, ovoweef, right?
But
And
I'm
then
just saying
ovoweef.
that at some point, like when you lose the codas, you're losing because tones at,
The thing that's making this difficult is the intentional dissimilation for reduplication. We can remove that.
I think we need to. Because then it would make sense if they matched, right?
Okay.
So option 3.
No, this is going to be option 1A. With dissimilation. I'm going to do option 1B without, and then we'll get to option 2.
And Chris, no, it's not, because the only reason it's a V in the O situation is that W's become V's, but only before O's and U's. Before any other vowel, it stays a W. And so it's we because it is in front of a different vowel.
Okay, this is still correct. But this is not. That's correct. This is gonna be hard. That's correct. This is not. And now to these. Right, this is shoot.
Something happened. And I didn't know if it was my
Yeah.
document.
No. Gosh darn it. I'm gonna make it right. Don't worry. But but this is going to be the one that we're working on right now. Okay.
Oh, and Freddie, I hope you sleep well if you do have to go. Thank you, Alk. It does feel weird to have dissimilation in tone before the coda loss. We can't. We can only have tone because of coda loss.
You're right. You're absolutely right on that.
Oh!
Sorry.
Everything disappeared.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Get them in the right order now.
yeah.
Stay grammar, Freddie.
Okay, so now at least we know what we're looking at.
You get them all fixed.
Yes, they're all fixed now. So now let's go to option 2. In this one, the coda loss precedes the reduplication, so we absolutely can do with and without dissimilation. So let's fix this one first.
This one shouldn't need to be fixed though, right? Because it has tone.
This is the one. Well, this is okay. That you're right. That should be correct. And this should be easy.
Ooh, bye Ragdoll. I hope you all have a good class.
This is fascinating. No, but here.
Mm-hmm.
No, this does need to be fixed. This does need to be fixed.
Oh, because we needed the fee if we did the vowel insertion?
Yeah, because of the coda loss. So like this is fine. It's the consonant final ones that aren't fine.
But only in the negated form.
Yes.
Positive reduplication is fine across the board, right?
Yeah, so negated, it's gotta be that.
Yeah. And then we.
Oh,
Yeah.
Probably. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna copy these and paste them here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And now we need to go here. Negative reduplicated form.
Would be ni kiki. Yeah? Oh, with dissimilation.
With dissimilation. So, ni ki.
Ki? High tone?
And
Whoop, forgot the F.
thank you. Okay. That's fine. And this is No, this is confusing me out here. No, but it is. We just, yeah, go we, right?
Yeah. And then this would be palili.
All right, and this is without assimilation.
Do you want to
Just
just the green ones?
Yeah.
And then just fix the, well, just fix the green ones by changing the last tone.
this too. GG.
Good call. Oh, same with mate. All of them need to be fixed, really, yeah.
Oops.
Okay. Now I agree with all the chat saying that the option 2s they feel much more like in what you would find in a modern grammar called reduplication. And so like I totally get where you're coming from. Chris feels more comfortable calling option 1 a long stem versus a short stem or something of the nature. And like I get it, but like historically it was reduplication, and
Yeah.
so like we're just going to use that term because it is recognizable for the most part in option 1, especially now with that insert, the
Yeah.
epithetic vowel. It's much more recognizable. And so across the board, you can see more of the reduplication. Really what you would end up getting is irregular reduplication in some cases, and that would be like the kowi becoming kovowi instead. And so that, like I get it, I get what you're saying, but like at the same time you wouldn't want to change the entire system name just because you have some irregularities. Otherwise, like we would need special names for everything.
Boy, this is
I mean, I feel much more comfortable with option 1 now that not only did you map it out, but with that epithetic vowel, it sort of rescued those consonants in more positions that make it make sense to my brain. It just didn't make sense to my brain why all of the protoforms would be preserved, even if we don't have that many verbs. Like it just didn't feel right. This feels much better to me because then you only have a select few that are further away from what you would classically call reduplication.
Yeah. Okay. So I think first. Oh yeah. I mean, come on, Minnie. Why bring up the obvious question, which is we were trying to not have longer forms, so that we could have our incorporated nouns. But that's all right. The incorporated nouns they can all be monosyllabic. They can all be CBC forms.
Reduplication, by the way, was never a patron vote, right? That was we just decided that in a live stream. So this is not going against any sort of spirits of actual votes. This is just like, how are we going to realize it?
Yeah. And
when is it going to happen in the historical process?
The only thing that is worth pointing out is the reason that we did a consonant for the negated forms was so that the negated forms wouldn't be appreciably longer than the regular forms. And they are most of the time, well, a lot of the time, they will be longer by a syllable than the positive forms. But I kind of like this. I think let's do this first. Do you want to eliminate one of these two? Because you did raise a very good point that dissimilation can only happen after there's tone, right? Mm-hmm. And so that makes me feel less comfortable with option 1A.
And specifically, because that would mean essentially what we would need is reduplication, coda loss happens, then we go back to those reduplicated forms and add dissimilation.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like making this what should be like one major grammatical invention at this point in the language's history
Yeah.
become a two-part process whereby they were like, oh, hey, by the way, when we reduplicate these things, we should totally make it a different tone, and that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's, so for 1A, only for option 1A, I think option 2A is fine. But for 1A, essentially, yeah, this whole thing happens, and then later on, there's a reanalysis, and they start throwing in dissimilation.
Yes.
So do you want to eliminate 1A for that reason?
Yeah, because it
Okay.
seems weird to me that they would then go backwards, essentially, and say, let's now add something new to this reduplicated thing.
I don't know what to do with this.
Can you make the whole thing in red font? The table does not exist.
All right, we got this.
Okay, so we don't like that.
Okay, so now we have 1B, and I think we're both happy with 1B as it is, right?
Yes, and I do want to say I'm way happier with that epithetic vowel, and it made the positive reduplication make more sense in the weird cases. Like, it just made it make more sense overall as a system in general.
I really like it. I really like how there are very few places where the negative form will be the same as the positive or duplicative form. It'll only happen when it is a monosyllabic root that has a low tone that has a vowel E. So basically like Sif. And that is a very small number of cases. Most of the time, the negative form and the positive or duplicate form are going to be different. And most of the time, all four forms are actually going to be different as well. So I think that makes it a strong candidate. All right, let's move on to 2A. This is with dissimilation. I believe all four forms are always going to be different. Is that right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
almost have to be, yeah.
Yeah. We will see, for all of these, we will see the dead consonants. So that's fun. That's fun.
Yes.
So that's going to happen no matter what. We'll see them in the negative forms. The positive forms are, reduplicated forms are going to be simpler. They are going to have that tone distinction. So there will always be some sort of a change, whether it's high-low or low-to-high, somewhere in the last two syllables.
And this may seem silly, but like to also make it clear what the forms are based on, could we actually change the order of those columns? Because it's really regular, and then positive reduplication is based on the regular form. Negative reduplication is based on the negated form.
Oh boy.
And that's different from up above.
It is?
Oh, sorry, up above is in option 1, right?
You think so? It's different from this? You would want to change these columns and not these?
I thought that this negative reduplication was based on the positive reduplication. And adding reduplication at the end. Just a second.
It is. You're right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Versus it's that here what we're doing, because the codas have already been lost, is we're basing the negative reduplication on the negative form, not on the positive reduplication form. Or maybe
Yeah.
can we color code it or shade it to make it clear which columns line up with which forms?
I guess. Oh, and for for Chris, I mean, yeah, that is the case. Only distinguished by tone, only distinguished by tone. Is there a place where that's not true? No, it's always true. This is what we can do.
Oh, I like this, yes. And maybe make it a bit thicker so it's more obvious.
Errors. No, how do you do a border? Oh, here we go.
But it's only doing the top border, I think.
No, it's doing all of them. It's just really, really thin.
I think you need to click on that option. Oh, okay, there we go.
And then this one. Purple. All right, and then this one.
It's going to be the same.
It's going to be the same, except
'Cause
basically you are always getting low tone here.
Right, because it's just reduplicating the final syllable.
Yeah.
Beefy.
And the final syllable is always low tone because it ends with F in the protoform.
Without dissimilation, shouldn't that be Nini, high tone? Dee. Oh no, because the consonants change it, but still shouldn't it be
Yeah, it should. Yeah, it should.
Nini?
Yeah, sorry. That one is fine, but sorry.
Actually, no, because codas are lost before we reduplicate it, so it's already thi, so it should be thi, low tone.
Yeah, these are all wrong. What the heck?
Woo! Goodness. Once he fixes this table, we can have a Copico break to say congratulations for making a table. Right, and that's with dissimilation, which is why those are good. Okay, I think with those corrections, now the table is correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think this is too big. I think this might actually have to be the patron.
Well, Minnie was just asking,
Yeah.
is this the poll?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be. Well, at least we got it sorted out, yeah?
And
Cheers.
And we're still on friendly terms,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Now we agree. We just needed an epithetic vowel.
Yeah,
And it made everything better.
I'm going to call the locksmith and cancel that appointment to change the locks.
Okay, well that's good.
All right.
That's good.
All right.
Wow. So,
Copico, the flavor of compromise.
oh my god, it's stuck. There we go. Thank you. So, I do. Now my question to you is, should we give all three options to the patrons? Or narrow it to two?
I don't know. It's really between option 2A and 2B. I'm gonna put them on the same page so that we can look at them.
Page break is so much better than doing what you just did. It is the pie episode. Because here's my question. Well, first and foremost, I would prefer that the patrons are voting between two systems, not between one system and then a second system, part A and B.
Hmm.
Because even if the second system gets more votes, and we can say, hey, if the second system gets more votes, we'll put them together. But then maybe they didn't want, you know, like maybe they were really voting against, you know,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
dissimilation, and they end up getting stuck with dissimilation because option 2 had more votes, but 2A had more votes than 2B. So,
By the way, I'm pretty sure, Miles, that Jesse was rooting for prefixal negation, yeah?
you're right, I forgot to mention, but yeah, totally prefixal. Because the noun incorporation just seemed so interesting, especially with being able to have different negation strategies for different verbs, and that just felt very bureaucratic.
Yeah.
To be like the subcommittees couldn't agree, therefore they divided up the verbs and said,
Yeah.
you get these verbs, you get these verbs, and they all came up with their own options.
Yeah, and now entire
Um,
law books will be written about which negation to use with which verb.
and Minnie is absolutely right, I think, that 2A should be the one that goes to the final 2.
You think so? I mean, we could
Yeah.
actually poll viewers. As I see it, the difference between 2A and 2B is that there's more variety. There's more tonal variety in 2A.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot more low tones with 2B. The low tones persist. And remember that low tones are rarer in this language than high tones.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, positive reduplicated forms, you get the preserve the. Yeah, I did like the idea of the dissimilation because it draws. It highlights the distinction.
And I don't know, I guess to me it also felt more, especially if we're doing the simple reduplication, it just felt more interesting.
Yeah.
Instead of full reduplication, it's, yeah, we're going to reduplicate those exact sounds, but to like differentiate where the reduplication happens, we're going to change tones.
Yeah.
And that felt good to me.
Yeah. All right. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think it needs to be, 1B and 2A are the votes for the patrons.
Okay. These will live on in our hearts.
Indeed.
And essentially, you can almost look at this as, I mean, the real distinction is where the sound changes occur, but we could look at them as simply a distinction between with and without dissimilation now.
Yeah. And then I would take option 1, just make that option 1 instead of 1B, because at this point 1A is dead.
Yep.
I am happy with these choices, and honestly, I think both systems have their benefits, and I think they are both really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, I like them both, I think.
Yeah, I do too.
And part of the reason that I like it is because of that epithetic vowel.
One of them will be for the mice, and one of them will be for the rats.
I love it. We'll save what doesn't win for the rats who went a different route. Yeah. So we have a poll.
Yep.
We have pretty tables. Do you know what we should talk about now
What?
in our last 8 minutes?
Yes.
And all, yeah, I mean, like, I really like both options, to be quite honest. So I'm actually, this one I'm not leaning one way or the other.
Yeah, I was.
Miles says, "Dim trash mice get the dregs."
I was definitely leaning towards option 1, but I really like this option 2 now. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm good with either. Dead consonants are getting preserved either way. So.
Yeah. So what I was thinking that we could do in our remaining 8 minutes is to start discussing potential nouns that might be incorporated.
Good idea. Let's come up with a list, because we can just do semantics, right?
Right. And that way then next week when we have the negative particle figured out, we can then come back with these nominal incorporations and start narrowing down which ones we actually want, as well as coming up with forms.
Yeah. Before we start getting a big list, and feel free to throw in, also just a reminder for those that are patrons, the patron live stream is this Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific.
That's right.
And for those that aren't patrons, you can become a patron and see what we do on Saturdays at 11 a.m. If you have a burning desire to see what I look like unshowered. Yeah. I'd love to say that 11 a.m. is a very reasonable time for me to get up and take my shower and get ready, but it just doesn't seem to be the way life goes.
The big difference is always your hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, Minnie, your vote is very clear, I think. So, what was I just thinking? Patron live stream this weekend. Oh, and for the patrons, because we recently in our live stream series wrapped up a translation that we were doing in Ingala, which means we can turn our attention to Tpavla, which some people on Discord had said, you know, we did all of this extra development for Ingala, what about Tpavla? And now we can do it. Like, we can turn our attention on that. People
to the numbers.
People have mentioned, yes, we need to finish those numbers, and people have mentioned things like holidays and special events. We can totally do that. If you recall, the only reason we really had a lot of those was through the patron live streams, but also through Luxembourg. That was a huge expansion for Ingala, and Luxembourg's coming up. We're not going to be ready for Luxembourg in this language, I don't think.
Oh, I think we will be.
We will be, so we could do
That's
this.
December.
Yeah, we're still going to be talking about negation in November.
I mean, look, I figure that by November 20th, we'll be able to put the negation issue to a vote for the first subcommittee.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, we will definitely turn our attention to add more love to our possum language and expand not only vocabulary, but also some cultural things and whatnot. So we will definitely get there. And these mice are already a work of art.
I'm going to have another cupcake as soon as this is done.
Oh, I know.
Anyway, all right, so.
Negation November.
Okay, so nouns to incorporate. And again, what this is, it's like, to use the French as an example, you had something like, instead of saying I don't write, you say I don't write a point. A point being the smallest possible thing you could write. And if you don't write a point, then it stands to reason that you don't write anything larger than that. So we're looking for smallest things that you could do, smallest objects, smallest obvious objects for transitive verbs.
And I would also argue that we need to kind of come up with semantic groupings, like move. Any sort of movement could be put together in one grouping, because it only needs one noun for things that are similar, and so on. Oh yeah, they do get grouped very interestingly.
Yeah, those things, and it was really cool that happened in French. It's mostly been lost because that'll eventually happen with any language. It'll eventually just narrow down into a single one.
Ooh, Bip says Navajo does that too.
Ooh, neat.
But also Miles says it's called November for a reason.
Ha. Okay, this is what
That's
I'm gonna do.
That's good. Yes. I think I think for move style verbs, it should be paw, or like if we have a little single finger word. I'm sorry, my email is giving me
I'm gonna put in finger there as we decide what that is. I really do like that crumb was the first one though, because of course what it makes me think of is, and crumbs much too small for the other whose mouse is.
Oh, yes, yes. And then for, star for sight, because they would be so tiny, and with their bad visibility in the first place, they'd be these tiny little pinpricks.
Yeah,
Grindle says maybe claw instead of finger. That may be.
But let's, claw movement. It's a certain type of movement, right?
Right. Can you say movement, comma, perhaps movement that involves scratching?
Something like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Ooh, feel, and then a word for what you feel when something barely brushes one of your whiskers.
Twitch.
Twitch, there we go, yeah. Twitch is in a twitch, right?
Or, I mean, I guess more in the spirit of the platform.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'm actually going to throw in a whisker for movement as well.
These are good. Sorry, I was thinking about hearing, and I'm like, a pin drop. But how about raindrop? Or
Ooh, kind of like that. Hearing. Anything else for hearing?
Alk says water for drinking.
Raindrop actually works for that as well.
Maybe like seed for something transactional.
Ooh.
And I think we use seed as a diminutive, so that would make sense.
Yeah. I like that. And I like the way that you're thinking, because let's add more business and commercial stuff.
Cupcake Parade likes whisker for feel, not movement, and I get it, because it's like not even my whisker can feel it, like, and that's the least feeling I can have in my body.
But the thing is, like, it's what you feel with, not what you feel, right? You feel the movement, you don't feel the whisker.
That's true.
So, yeah. Okay.
Cassandra says breath. Oh, owl hearing.
Yeah, we do have word for speech. It's pretty obvious.
When the mouse judge slams their gavel. Between movement and distance, Minnie, there could definitely be a difference there. I guess it depends on how we end up grouping things. You don't feel the whisker. Sounds like an idiom. You don't feel the whisker. You are the whisker.
Be the whisker.
Oh my gosh.
And you throw in breath there for.
Oh, Jonathan says that the reason he was thinking about owl for hearing, which goes on with what Davida said, is because if you can hear an owl flying above you, you can hear anything.
This probably isn't going to happen, but I'm just going to throw it in there because I like it.
Yeah.
Or another one, don't hear a buzz.
Ooh, that's fun.
Don't hear a squeak. Man, there's a lot of these.
It is. Oh, there's a video Minnie needs us all to watch. It is also 4:01.
Yeah.
And you have cupcakes to demolish.
Yeah, I do. Also, Minnie, if you're about to post a link, I'll remind you that they don't let you post links in the comments.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they cut you off. I think I can, but they can't. As the official account, I think we can.
But yeah, I think that Minnie thinks she just posted a link, but it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up. Put it in the Discord.
Yeah, definitely put it in Discord.
We'll share it.
These are good. This
Yes.
is a good start.
Yeah, that's a good start.
And this is obviously not necessarily, all the ones will end up moving. We may regroup things. We may have several movement categories. And so, yeah, we've got all sorts of options. I like it. Yeah, of course, the receipt. Inter-office memo. Wonderful. Okay, so thank you all for being here today and for sticking through all the craziness of figuring out what simple reduplication looks like for a mouse language.
Yeah. Sometimes we do conlang. Sometimes. Yeah.
Good to know. And we hope you all have a good week. Patrons, get on it, vote, because this is a big vote.
It's high stakes.
And it's pretty exciting, I think. And so get on it, get your vote in, and we will see you next week. Or this Saturday if you're a patron.
Yep.
For everybody else, we'll see you next week. Stay grammar.
Bye, everybody.